Hey guys, let's talk about the Admiral. So in the 1970s and starting in 1970, Pez released a whole bunch more of the Pez Pals. And Admiral was not one of those, but we did see the Admiral here on one of the boxes. So you'd see him alongside a bunch of other pals, and there's only one that exists. And this is not it. This is not it. Sylvia Biermeyer found the parts, the hat, the wig, and the bow tie, together with a bunch of other parts in the homeworker. If you don't know what a Pez homeworker is, that's a subject for another day. No, it's not. It's people at home that were paid to put together the Pez dispensers and bring them back to the factory. So the Admiral is, as I understand it, no longer in Austria, but somewhere here in the States. And I'll leave out where I think it is. But this one is built on the as a resin from that original. Sylvia lent it to somebody from Japan. They made a mold out of it and produced a handful of these dispensers. Seeing it on a footed stem is kind of weird for a PAL, and on a 4.9 and a plastic 4-leaf hinge, none of that makes any sense. But this is not a real dispenser, so that's okay. It sure looks like a dispenser, same size and everything. Still works. The bow tie is separate. That is the Admiral. This is what it looks like, and you're never going to see the original in person unless you're quite lucky to visit the collector that's got it. So this is about as close as you're going to get. These resin ones, by the way, go, I think, as high as $400 or so for a dispenser. Now there are other, I'm going to knock more stuff over, other things I wanted to show you that don't really fit into a category or a year for that matter. So the Admirals in the 1970s. This is from this is Ringmaster, made entirely out of plaster, and he's from a commercial from maybe a decade ago. And in this case, my mustache is broken off, so I'm not going to pick it up. But there was a wall of these behind the guy in the commercial, and I don't know why. You can find that commercial on YouTube. I haven't watched it recently, but you can see it doesn't look anything like real plastic. That's clearly plaster. In the plaster world, you see things like this, where it's filled with plaster. You see the mold filled with plaster and the air bubbles are still there. And my understanding is they did this in order to check the mold and see where some problems might arise. These are not actually on the stems. You can see this is just made, I don't know what that 70 means. If it's the price, well, it's not high enough. This set that you see here was intended to be the Lucky Louie, I think that's right, Lucky Louie set of 6. I've never seen the cartoon or the show. I know there was one with a comedian on Showtime. But in any case, Lucky Louie, there's a set of 6. I know there's a picture of these somewhere, and I can't remember where. I thought it was on Sylvia's site, but that looks like it's been taken down. So another one here is, I don't think they made this one at all. This is the Nintendo line. This also is stuck in here. It's a plaster or resin mold. I'm going to push that back nice and gently. But this one was painted. So it's still got the air bubbles. You see those under the paint. But this was painted to show you what the finished dispenser would look like. This is one of my favorites just because of this paint job. That's pretty cool. That's how it came to me. For all I know, someone painted it, last week out of they've had it in their collection looking like this, and they just decided to paint it. But it came from Austria. It came looking like this, and I don't think that's the case. And then this one I picked up a number of years ago, and it's the same kind of thing. Now the plaster thing sitting in a footed stem that it doesn't belong on, just to show you what that would look like. Again, holes in the mold. Clearly a different set than this, but these are kind of fun. I don't collect these. There are people who collect those, the molds, who like the test pieces, resins, I mean, you name it, different colors. There are a lot of cool things out there, but man, you go down that rabbit hole and you might never get out. I got these Lucky Louie ones simply because it's one of those lines that Pez considered and decided not to make, and I kind of like the history behind that. Same with the Admiral. Helps to complete the PAL collection. Bye, guys.